hearing on the budget. We will have that hearing, then we will take action as needed. We will adjourn. And then we will commence the normal meeting. So we actually have 2 meetings here in succession. All right, it is 1:30, so we will convene. The board of directors members who are here are Mr. Melendez, Mrs. Heisel, Mr. Gannon, Dr. Barksdale, and Councilwoman Gonzalez. So we do have a quorum. This initial session is a public hearing before the Central Appraisal District Board of Directors agenda. This is to review the proposed budget for the next fiscal year.
Yes.
And we are meeting the public with the legal requirements to have a hearing before we actually formally pass the budget.
Yes.
So you have the floor.
Has anybody signed up for public comment?
That's right.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
It's okay, sir.
Nobody here. Bye. Go ahead.
Okay. As we discussed back in May, sir, our proposed 2027 budget total expenditures would be $30,875,940, sir. It represents a 3.81% increase over the prior year. The dollar amount of that is $1,132,463.
Yeah.
We have met our, well, excuse me, we did the statutory requirement of letting the taxing jurisdictions know about our proposed budget. To this date, we have not heard anything back from them. We're happy to answer any questions, but at this point, like I said, it's just a recap. $30,875,940 would be the 2027 proposed budget.
And my recollection is that's a 3.7% increase over the previous
3.81.
3.81.
Yes, sir.
And are we going into more depth on it, or is this what we're?
We can answer any questions. And we
Okay.
went into depth in May.
So I think just my question is just the encumbrance process. Maybe Crystal could talk about this, how that may be encumbered later, not necessarily in the budget approval process.
Correct. So what happens with the surplus is at the end of the year, we have the audit, like we just finished the audit this year with APIP. And
Okay.
on there, we had a surplus of $1 million. And after we do that, we have, after the audit is completed and it's presented, then in about June, we issue the refund checks, which I have already processed that and sent it to all the taxing jurisdictions that were entitled, their pro rata share of the surplus. And so at the end of this year, for 2026, that'll be the same process. After the audit's done, and then sometime in June, we'll issue the surplus for whatever their amount is in 2027.
So if we wanted to encumber something for building needs, we could do that out of the surplus portion.
Yes, so
Yeah.
I'll start doing
Okay.
projections this month and next month, and then I'll come to the board and say, this is how much I'm projecting as a surplus, and then we'll come to you and ask for it to be, and Scott can go.
Ultimately, the timeline for that is in October is when we'll come to the board for asking for encumbrances. And then we have to we do that in a form of a budget amendment, even though it isn't going to cost the units any more money. It just affects how much they may receive after the audit. And so with that, what we do is we come to y'all, say, this is what we would like to do with it. And if y'all agree, then we send out a letter to all of the taxing units letting them know. We have to give them at least 30 days to respond. And usually in the December meeting, before the end of the calendar year, that's when the actual encumbrances will take effect. However, that's when we wait on the audit to make sure that there is a finalized number on any surplus that we may have, and then that's turned back to the taxing unit. So there's multi-steps in the process. Ultimately, October will identify anything that we want to encumber from surplus funds. In December, you'll act on it. And then we'll have the audit in May, June timeframe. So that's kind of it all in encompassing.
Okay, so and we haven't asked to encumber anything for building.
No, ma'am.
Not yet.
We do have,
I know there's a million in it.
yes, ma'am.
Now, we do have some standard encumbrances we consider every year, some.
Typically, building, litigation,
Updates for
uh,
the election
upgrades of our
process,
building.
those sorts of things, so that's all done at the same time.
yes, right. Right.
Okay, great, so we don't have to have that discussed today.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions?
Yes, I had a quick question. I noticed there wasn't any funding allocated for the homestead audit outreach.
That's-
In 26 and 27, it might have gone away in 25.
We do the homestead audit as required by law, ma'am, but we've developed internal processes where we did not have to go out and expend software for that. It was pretty costly.
Okay.
So we did save on that line item.
And then I guess is that done internally by a department?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it housed under what? Is its own department? Is it housed under legal or?
It's not legal. It's our IS department that provides the data to our CIA, our customer service department.
Okay.
We verify the records to make sure that they are eligible. They make sure that the driver's license address matches the address that we have on file. And again, that is enough to satisfy the requirements of law, which again has helped us not have to make that type of expenditure because it was significantly costly. Everybody wanted to get appraisal districts, business for that. And we brainstormed and were able to come up with that idea.
Most appraisal districts doing it in-house now or?
There's some smaller ones that don't have the staff that have outsourced, but the larger ones, if I'm not mistaken, are still doing it or are doing it like this because we also share information. It's like, hey, we can do this. Why, we always look after each other as far as budgetary costs. So there are some of the larger ones that are doing it like that.
Thank you.
Yes.
I believe there's this annual session had where they update that.
Yes.
Yes, so some of that is coordinated through the professional organization that this would have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Melinda, any questions? Okay, bad time to ask. Okay, that being the case. Are we good with closing the meeting? All right, so we have had we have no public comments, so with that, we will adjourn the review of that. And that is at 1:37 a.m. PM. Sorry, it's already been a day. I'm gonna give it 1 minute before we start the next meeting.
Sure.
Because if there's the hiatus, it's now 1:38. So we will start the regular board meeting at 38 p.m. Let it be noted that the direct members present are Mr. Melendez, Mrs. Heisen, Mr. Gannon, Dr. Barksdale, and Councilwoman Gonzalez. So we do have a quorum. All right, I'm assuming no one signed up for the regular meeting either.
No, sir.
Okay. All right, we have the minutes are enclosed, so if y'all will review those very quickly if you have not already done so. We will dispose of them.
Mr. Gannon, did we call the meeting to order?
Yes, I just did.
I apologize, sir.
I confirmed to the directors and we have a quorum. So
Thank you.
we're
Thank you,
good.
Scott.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion from Ms. Heisen, a second from Dr. Barksdale. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. All right. Next item is the operating budget.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As previously stated in our budget, public hearing right now, we're asking for board approval as submitted for our 2027 budget, which is $30,875,940, which represents again a 3.81% increase over the 2026 budget.
Okay, so do we have any questions or comments or debates about the budget?
No, I think you answered my question.
All right. Can we have a motion to approve?
I move it.
Dr. Barksdale.
But it is that the thing.
Second, from Mr. Melendez. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Item E, the order for elections.
Yes, sir. As required by law, we are here to ask the board members present to sign the order of general election. This would be for the November 3rd election for the 3 elected board members. We need the signatures of the quorum present so that we could send this over to the elections department to have that filed for the office, for the election.
Any questions?
Is this where I bring up my issue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, I just want to make it on the record that, I, along with Miss Miller, were basically didn't have as professional of an experience as we would have expected, given that we spent $1 million. I don't know what the new budget item is going to be for this upcoming year. It was actually turned away to file last Monday. And, the elections department is supposed to be open from 8 to 5. And there was no communication to the BCAD that there would be any disruption in going to file. So I think that was a concern. If there had been, there were no notaries, they told me to leave. I know you guys, were great, professional, trying to help me get filed, but it's a concern legally for myself as a director, as well as I think for BCAD. I just want to get it on the record that I would like to follow up with the people that are in charge of the elections department. I know that the county has already started taking a step to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And I think that we need to do the same to make sure that BCAD is just CYA'd what we need to do, just in case anything comes from it. So I would like to make a motion that we send out my experience to the 3 elected officials that are in charge of the elections department.
So specifically, what is your motion?
My motion is that we take my and Miss Miller's experience, we wrote a letter, and we submit that letter to the 3 electeds that oversee the elections department.
So I'm just trying to make sure we know who we're sending anything to, because my understanding is the elections department has an administrator and a chief administrator, but they are one of the divisions within Bear County.
Yeah, so they have a board over them.
Jurisdiction of the commissioners court. So is that who, to whom we wish the letter to be sent?
No, there's 3 elected officials that are on the board that actually hire the elections administrator. That would be Judge Sakai, Lucia Adame Clark,
And Mr. Durant.
and Mr. Durant.
Okay, so just wanted to make sure we knew who.
Oh, yeah, I should have made that more specific.
Okay, we have a second. We have a second. We have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion?
Scanning before a vote takes place.
It's not an action item on the agenda.
That is true.
Can we put, we can put it on the September, I understand.
Oh, okay, we can put it on.
We can put it on the September meeting for sure.
Alright,
That way it's an action item. And it's on the agenda, it's posted, and then it's still well before the November election.
And also by then, maybe we can put together a draft of the letter so
Okay.
that you could have something to actually vote on, and
Okay.
that it would be tangible at that point.
I apologize, ma'am.
No worries. Thank you for listening.
Appreciate that. I will say that I did meet with the elections administrator and the deputy elections administrator on Friday. And that I think what happened earlier in the week was a confluence of some unique events that are not normal. I don't think there was any intent on their part. As a result of those confluence of events, they had people manning the front desk of normal without. And we're not publicly trained. Part of that was that a large portion of the leadership of the elections department was actually in Austin for most of the week. Being trained by the members of the Office of Secretary of State and the Attorney General in the last election, and we know this for a fact, as we're having 3 elections when we normally wouldn't. Right now, several significant changes were made in the election procedures from the state. There were, as is often the case in these scenarios, different interpretations of what some of that language would mean. And so it was only last week that those have been resolved to the point where the Secretary of State and the Attorney General could brief the election administrators from the state. So I do not disagree that some more care should have been taken to make sure that all operations could go smoothly. On the other hand, I can tell you they are very aware of what happened. They have indicated some changes they will make moving forward, so it doesn't happen again. And they are taking actions to make sure everything is moving forward. So we do have to keep in mind, we have a brand new elections administrator. One of the things that came up in that discussion is, despite the things going on with the state, there are several things she's found that were normal processes under the previous administrator that she felt were not in the balance of her jurisdiction. So they're having to make some internal changes as well. And so.
My experience with the previous election administrator was smooth. We actually ended up having to file with the county. The people in the front knew what to tell me.
So it'll be in the agenda item for
Just to make
September.
sure I'm clear that it will come from Grover.
It'll come from the board director, but we will put it on the agenda so that the board can vote and then we pass that.
So what we will do is we will put this as an agenda item for September.
Correct.
We will endeavor to develop a draft that you can circulate to the board. Let us try and have the draft finalized before that meeting
Definitely.
with an understanding of A, exactly what we're gonna say, B, exactly to whom we're going to send it. And then we can't take this up again at that time. Right.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah. At this point, if we can just get the vote for the order of the election that we've already.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Thank you.
Are we
A motion for Ms. Heisel.
No, Ms. Heisler's motion will be in September. We're gonna put
Oh,
that
right.
on.
It wasn't an act on.
Yeah, this is for the order of the election.
Good.
Motion to approve the 2027, no, sorry, motion to approve the order of the election.
Correct.
Sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we have a motion to approve. We got it from Councilman Fulano Gonzalez, second from Mr. Melendez. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. All right, we move on to a contract for aerial orthophotography.
Yes, good afternoon. In June, the district went out to bid for aerial orthophotography services and received 2 bids. After evaluating the bids, staff recommends Eagle View. They offered the best overall value to the district. The proposed contract is for $245,000, covering January 1st, 2027 through December 31st, 2027. The district currently has $275,000 budgeted for this service, so the contract is $30,000 below the budgeted amount. Our current vendor is Nearmap. I'm asking the board to approve Eagle View contract for Eagle View for aerial orthophotography services for 2027 and the amount of $245,000.
Okay, have you used this company before?
Yes, we have.
Okay, so we have experience.
Several years ago, the previous or our current vendor, we've had for quite some time, had them for a little over 8 years. But Eagle View was a contractor that we have used before, and many other appraisal districts use them as well.
So now we've had previous contracts for aerial photography. What exactly distinguishes orthophotography?
Ortho is direct overhead. And so we have both direct overhead and at a 45-degree angle with Eagle View and in the past few years Nearmap, so that we can get a good overhead view of the properties on the roll, as well as at an angle, so that we can have better ways to review property. A lot of cases without going in backyards and those types of things, we can view the property characteristics from the photography.
With the advancements in this photography, we were able to assess what's actually living area as opposed to what's not. Like before, you used to get the overhead, so you would assume that the whole roof was living area. Now with the obliques, you can see there's open space here. It's a porch. You can estimate if we're unable to get it exactly. You can find swimming pools, spas, detached living areas. We found houses. So properties that are hard to get to access, our job is still to discover that property. And these aerials are flown as close to the first of the year to meet the requirements of a January 1st appraisal. So they have become invaluable for staff as far as getting that work done.
So I have a stupid question because I get asked this a lot. Do we use drones? Is this a drone?
No, ma'am.
No,
So
no.
what's the difference?
drone, basically how the images are collected. Drone photography, they use unmanned aircraft. That's not what we use.
Okay.
We do not use drones. None of the vendors that we have used use drones.
Okay,
They are small aircraft. I know that something along the lines of a Cessna 172, if you know what that is equipped with cameras facing down and to the sides, and they fly in a grid, and they do the entire county with a buffer outside of the boundaries.
so it's a plane with all,
Mhm.
okay.
Yes,
They
ma'am.
have a flare on called forward looking infrared.
What's that?
They have a flare on that called forward looking infrared.
Yeah,
That seems.
in some of those, yes.
And that's always been one of the concerns
Yeah.
that we hear in public outreach is of the drones, and we want to assure the public that we do not do that for privacy reasons. We understand that it's really invasive. And again, these are flown at such a high level that it's just literally 20-30,000 feet in some instances. So yeah, no, we do not have. I went to a conference years ago, and I mean, just too much information, but Maricopa County in Arizona actually did use drones, and they would sit out there. They weren't allowed on the property, they would literally fly the drone, and no, we don't do that. We don't do that.
No.
Too close for comfort.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Should it?
How long does it take to do the whole sweep of the county?
It usually takes them about a week. Now with advancements in technology, they are able to process on the fly. And as they're processing them, we will get access to the most recent images within days of them actually flying the county. But as part of our contract, we get access online as well as an actual copy that we have in-house, so that in the instance of we go with a different vendor at some point in time, or we don't renew the contract, we have a physical copy of the information on site, so that we aren't, for the lack of a better term, held hostage by subscription costs or anything like that further on down the line.
And our current vendor is Nearmap,
Yes, that is correct.
and I'm just curious why are we switching vendors?
They did not submit their response in time for our bid cutoff time, so unfortunately, we weren't able to accept their bid since it wasn't turned in a timely manner.
Sounds good.
All right, let the record show that Mr. Ureste has joined us. Any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
I so move, we approve it.
Okay, we have a motion for approval from
Second.
Dr. Barksdale, a second from Ms. Heisel. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes here. All right. Speaking of audit services.
Also, we went out for bid. Audit services was another one of ours that went out to bid, and we want to ask APIP, who is also our cook vendor. We've been very happy with them, and they offer us the best overall value to the district. The proposed contract is for $37,600. It would be covering from January 1st, 2027 through December 31st, 2027. So I'm asking the board to approve APIP for our audit services for 2027. And we did have 5 total bids that came in.
Any discussion on audit service?
How many bids you get?
5.
Are they listed on here?
No, I have my tally sheet. We have it. I have it if you need it, if I can, send it to you. Yes.
Yeah.
Was there amount for this current year, the same amount, or did it go
It
up
was an increase by 4%.
4% increase?
Yes.
And they've had it all along?
They had it for the last 3 years. Yeah, we received 5 total bids, Weaver, E.D. Bailey. I'm just trying to get from the regular election. And I can share that one.
Are they doing San Antonio?
They are.
No, I don't know how they do it.
And I do send that to all the people who, for the bid. I'll send that to them, a copy of that tally sheet.
If you would,
Oh, nice. Took me to. It's okay, Robert.
No, thank you.
I will say, this work has been associated with several other organizations I've served on boards with in their hybrid perspective. The audit and the county. So, right. All right, is there any other discussion? We have a motion.
I mean, Marty,
Mr. Melendez makes a motion to approve. Ms. Heisel moves the motion to second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Temporary services.
Yes, we also went out to bid for temporary services. We had 25 bids, for come in. And after our, staff reviewed the solicitations, we are asking the board to approve open work for a contract amount of $270,000. They offered the best overall value for the district. The period covered would be January 1st, 2027 through December 31st, 2027. Our current vendor is Dependable Business Solutions. So we ask the board to approve open work as our temporary services for 2027.
You have similar backup on that?
I sure do.
Yeah, in the future, it'd be good if you could put it in here.
We would put them in there, but since now the board packet is available, on our website with that information, if the board doesn't choose to select one of those vendors, it would give all my information to everyone. But it is also sent to everyone afterwards.
and this is for like temporary office people?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Temporary staff during the busy time of the year.
Such.
For our customer service, hire roughly between 9 and
Or
12 people,
maternity leave for those sorts of things.
clerical work, yes.
And is this an increase this year, or is it,
It is an increase this year.
okay, and what did it increase to?
It was, we had it originally for, and I just look back in our budget. I want to see what's that. And I'm just going to our budget here, and it's under temporary services.
How many employees you all normally use?
It fluctuates between the years, sir, depending on our busy season.
We said between 9 and 12.
So is it 270,000, is that a fixed amount or is that?
It's dependent on how much, it can be, it is a fixed amount depending on how many hours.
So
We could use more.
if you only use 10 employees, for 10 hours each, still have to pay $270?
No, we
Oh,
wouldn't,
of course.
no,
Okay, that's what I'm asking,
Yeah.
so it's not.
it's less, yes, but it can't be.
Oh, gotcha.
Give me a breakdown of how this works.
How that works is, we get temporary services and we pay the employee is no less than $15, and usually the company has a markup of between 10 to 12%, which I could get that amount. Laura is here, you have the.
It's right here, the markup is
Yeah.
2174.
21.70, so that's the markup then we pay to them. So we typically get between, during our business season, between 9 to 12 temporary workers, and then throughout the year, we'll probably keep one.
So what's the average that you normally use on a temporary service?
Sure. And historically, from our budget, I have it in here, that's where I was gonna go to, and it could show you the proposed amount and how much we typically pay. Oh, here it is. Okay, on page 17 of the budget, under 7,800. The actual expenses for 2025 were $277,166. And 2026, we had a budget for 205,000. And then we've increased it to 270,000. So it's a $65,000 difference. And it's just, if we have a longer protest season or a higher volume, that's what scared it.
So the other question I would have is, I know my office, we hire our own temps. Is the reason that y'all couldn't do that?
You hired what, sir? What was that?
Their own temps.
Okay.
We used to hire them directly through the district, but since we don't pay into social security and we pay TCDRS, we would have to enroll them all into TCDRS. And it
I
became,
think that's true, we'll have to roll ours into that.
we have to, and that's what we vote, that's what we did in the past.
So if you can give me that
I
paper
can,
that shows that, because I know in ours, we hire our own people and we bring them in, they're contract employees, and we don't have to roll them with anything. Don't even they work till a certain amount of hours that you have to,
Mhm.
like just for using 20 hours a week, you like that.
yeah, they do,
Ours are full time and they can work up to 6, 7 months in a row.
Sorry,
Ours work 40 hours a week and they can work up to 7 or 8 months in a row, so they wouldn't fall. Sure.
okay, you step up, please. Thank you, Laura. She's our HR director and she's the one who went through our.
Our temporary staff that's hired mostly through our customer service, we usually have about 10 per year. They do work 40 hours a week, sometimes they work overtime, and they are usually in our services for about 7 to 8 months at a time. So they would pass the 20-week mark to qualify for benefits, so we'd have to enroll them at that point. So this avoids that.
so I guess the term temporary is really kind of misleading if it wasn't 8 months a year full time.
They're working a temporary assignment for us is what they're doing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Yes, I so move.
We do have a motion to approve, second,
I'll second.
second from Mr. Melendez, motion from Dr. Barksdale, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please so indicate. Motion passes. All right. Item I is the selection of the Appraisal Review Board Ad Hoc Committee. Mr. White.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good, sir.
What I'm going to share with you right now is a welcome to the ARB ad hoc committee, but before I begin speaking, I'm going to give you an update. What is in your books, I had to look at it again, and it needed to be revised. And then I will go over that with. We will start with the advertisement. Oh,
Well, thank you, sir.
the advertisement for the new ARB members will be posted in the Sunday Express News Job section on 09/24/2026. Additional ads will be placed in the North Side Herald on 09/09/2026 and the South Side Reporter on 09/09/2026. Applications for the 2027 and 2028 ARB memberships will be accepted through Friday, October the 2nd, 2026. Open house. Once applications have been received, all applicants will be invited to attend a mandatory open house to receive information from the ARB chair, the ARB attorney, Mr. Armstrong and Mrs. Armstrong, regarding the qualifications and the expectations for the ARB members that are selected. The open house is tentatively scheduled for October 7th, 2026 at 9 in the morning. If that meets your schedule approval, we ask that you all attend. Interviews. At the end of the open house, is scheduled for the interview is set out for the applicants to choose a time to be interviewed by the ARB selection committee of the board of directors. Applicants are scheduled for every 15 to 30 minutes over a 1 to 2 day period, depending on the number of interested applicants. Prior to the day of the interviews, a binder will be supplied to each of you. It will contain maps of the current and prospective ARB members so that you may see how they are aligned throughout the county. It will also contain both the applications for the new members as well as the applications for current members requesting to be reappointed to another 2-year term. Those requesting reappointments to a second or third term had not typically been interviewed by the board of directors in the past. But that option is available if you deem it necessary. The interviews for the 2027 and 2028 year will be the 3rd or 4th week of October. As you are aware, once the committee has interviewed and made their selections, they will present their recommendation to the board of directors meeting for the appointments. I'm going to go back. The interviews for 2027 and the 2028 year will be conducted on the 3rd or the 4th week because the open house is on the 7th of October. And the next week, I think that begins with October 12th through the 16th. So I'm looking at 2 of those days to be chosen for interviews, or October 19th through the 23rd. Once again, 2 days for those interviews. Appointments and reappointments. Presently, there are 13 members requesting reappointments to the second term, 9 members requesting reappointments to a 3rd term, and 8 that will be terming out. The ARB also had 3 resignations last year, so they will need 9 new members in total. One of the 9 members will be taking the place of an ARB member for his second term. Therefore, their first term will be 1 year, namely January 1st, 2027 to December of 2027. Both the ARB chair and the vice chair are appointed annually. Both the current chairs, Mr. Daniel George and Vice Chair, Ms. Nora Flanagan, will reapply for their current positions. In addition, applications will be provided to all ARB members. Any applications received will be added to the Board of Directors Ad Hoc Committee binder, and interviews will be conducted on the same date as the new member interviews, or on the date and time of the board's request. Information needed. At this time, what I will need from the ad hoc committees are the dates that you would be available, typically the 3rd or the 4th week of October. And please let me know your availability and feedback if you have any regarding this process. Do you have any questions on that? Yes.
Well, I have a question, something else. Roy, I don't know if
Yes,
it's
sir.
directed at you or Mr. White, but I would like for this advertisement to be put in up there inside as well.
Oh, we can do that,
Okay, thank you.
of course.
Are there any other questions?
You have 31 members you need for this upcoming year. If you're not right, 13 come back. 22 will come back, should be 9.
That is correct.
Okay, so you're looking at 31 total.
That is correct.
Okay, so there'd only be 9 people interviewed.
That is correct.
Okay.
Right.
Question.
Yes, sir.
One more.
That's correct. And got you, it'll be 10.
10. Okay, so 32 total.
Okay.
There are only 10 need to be interviewed, 15 minutes apiece.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's like 4 an hour. Okay, so you're looking at 2.5 hours.
Yes, ma'am. Anything else?
Right, what, the deadline, does that have committee members, what's the deadline that you need to know availability?
For the yours?
Yes, sir.
If you look at your calendars for October and you see those dates, the 12th through the 16th, there's time enough, I'll say next week,
Yes, sir.
if you could please, sir.
Okay.
And I am asking because there is not as many interviewees. I'm only asking, sir, for at least 2 interviewers.
Okay. We can have a ad hoc committee of up to 4 people, so if 4 people wanted to be involved in the process, that would be okay.
Sure.
Great.
Okay, so we're getting 2 interviewees, you're asking for 2 interviewees,
Interviewers.
interviewers.
I'll volunteer.
I had selection year and I did it already last 2 years. I'm letting other people give an opportunity to do it.
I'll do it, yeah, that's fine, no problem.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to be involved too, if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
That would leave 1 spot, Pardon.
We're in the middle, we passed our budget on the 17th, so
So,
I've got a lot of budget work sessions
no, that's.
that are 3 to 4 hours long.
Would it be okay if Valerie reached out to the members who were not here to see if we to,
Please.
space or when will we do that, Valerie? And once we have an answer on that, where they were going, then we can give you the names.
Thank you very much.
All right.
It was fun, it's just that's really the,
It's always an interesting.
Yeah.
All right, that is the last of our action items, I believe.
Yes.
All right. Now we go to the presentation of the 2027-2028 reappraisal plan
The discussion, sir.
discussion.
Yeah, Ms. Heisel had asked back in July to put this on the agenda. So I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Sure, just, when can we get the actual draft of the?
We're
appraisal
working
plan?
on it currently. Again, my intent was to have an ad hoc committee very similar to the budget. We discussed this, man, just so we could kind of iron out any details. Ms. Heisel asked to put it on the agenda for a discussion item. So we are currently working on the draft and we will have it by the end of the month for sure, sooner than later. Hopefully, we'll post it on our website to make sure that the public has access to it.
Oh, you will post the draft?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, and then we
Yes,
have to have
ma'am.
a
Absolutely.
public hearing.
The public hearing goes before the actual adoption of the reappraisal plan. Yes, sir, as required by law.
As those of us who've been around for a while, remember that was a little adventure as stuff going on.
So it's posted 10 days before the hearing? Is it a different timeline to post?
For the agenda for the
Yeah.
public hearing, I
Uh-huh.
believe it is 10 days. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Heisel, let me just clarify that it follows the same format as the budget, so there's a public hearing agenda at least 10 days in advance. And then the actual meeting is the 72 hours that we do.
Great. So the only question I had on the executive summary, unless you guys want to go into it
No,
now,
we can't, like I said.
was just what happens to the 2025 protesters. So they would have to re-protest.
2025.
2025 is gone. We're into 2026 already.
I mean, so the 2025 rolled 2026.
Correct.
So they'd have to re-protest in 2027.
Potentially, if the market conditions changed enough to suggest there's clear and convincing evidence that it should change. Otherwise, it would not change.
As goes back to what the board had originally wanted to do. And that's one of the things that we want to make sure, that we're compliant with law, statutory requirements of appraising property, but at the same time, the strict adherence to what the board said about clear and convincing data. That's one of the reasons why, the market, we didn't raise 60% of our accounts. Some actually went down. So like I said, we wanted to be very cognizant of that fact and still the requirements of the law. But again, this is just
Well, we enacted a reappraisal plan, it's for 2 years.
correct. This would be for 27 and 28.
So your question is, if someone had protested in 25 and their property value was frozen for 26, would they potentially have protested in 27?
Correct.
The answer is possible.
Possibly. Again, if the market shows that there's an increase.
But it says here, if they protested in 26, then it would roll for 27.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, we're trying to keep the prior board's policy objective from the prior reappraisal plan and carry that over. With cleaning it up and according to the changes in the tax bill.
So the reappraisal plan is not gonna have any effect, those that when they're protesting 26, right? I mean, it would just
Say that again, sir.
the reappraisal plan for 27 is not gonna have any effect on those that won their protest in 26.
Again, if you protested the 2026 year and next year for 2027, the data shows that there's not an increase, it's gonna roll over because that's what 2301 requires, clear and convincing data. If you protested this year and the market's still flat in your neighborhood, your value is not gonna go up.
No, I understand it, but if it goes up at 27, they still don't have to re-protest at 27. That was the direction that we gave.
We're still gonna look at the market. Again, if there's clear and convincing data.
So for instance, if somebody added on to their house, yes, the value's gonna go up. Those type
Property
of
characteristic changes.
characteristics changes, yes, but just in general with the market, as long as there's not a dramatic increase, then no.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure,
Yes.
because I know we talked about this clear and convincing data and what you told us, it was gonna have to be really extreme, so just the
Correct.
fact the market goes up 3%, it's not gonna require them to protest again, 27.
That's correct.
But on the flip side, you still have a right to protest.
Right,
Yeah.
okay,
So
just wanna make sure.
This, but just to clarify, this hasn't changed since the 2025, 2026.
We're just cleaning up.
But we
the
still have the
language.
protection for those who protested.
Correct.
Okay, so this still keeps the protection
Mhm.
for those who actually settle with the district.
Correct. And again,
For
that's
the
still
next-
2301E, that was already in
Okay.
place, the board basically codified it with a little more defined language of what that clear and convincing data is.
So moving forward, there's two issues that have to be addressed. One is the 27-28 plan needs to be compliant with the changes in the tax code. The other is, does this body want to continue the amendment that we put in 25 that created this, obviated the need to protest in subsequent years?
Mhm.
My sense is we probably do. And so this is largely a compliance and cleanup process.
Correct.
This time around. Where
Correct.
last time we did make that substantive change.
And the board was very gracious enough to let us, meet the requirements of an annual reappraisal while at the same time constricting the 2301E, the protection for carryover,
And so we're gonna be voting on this when?
September.
September.
This is just discussion.
So you'll come back, you'll come back to the exact same thing that we had on every other year.
Not the exact same thing. We're gonna, like I said, the language is gonna be different, but I want to assure the board that the message is still the same. And again, once the draft is done, we'll put it on our website. I can send it to the directors. That way y'all can have it, well in advance. And again, in September, we'll have the public hearing like we did today for the budget. And then we'll go into the meeting where we ask the board to formally adopt it.
So I think what would be helpful is with the specific language relating to the protest and the need not protest, any changes of that, or we have the former language and the new language sent to the board specifically and directly.
Yeah,
So
we
we
can
can
track
see
it.
that. Would you like that?
Yeah, let's do that. I don't wanna lose, and I know you're saying we're not, but I just wanna make sure we don't lose that message every other year.
And I think the other question, the thing that came up in the last appraisal plan was people wanting to not appraise every year, and I think we're still agreed that appraisals every year is still one.
I mean, I would defer to you and to Roy on that.
Absolutely. Again, looking at current data is the best thing for not only the taxing jurisdictions, but also the property owners.
Which we've always reappraised every year.
Correct.
But I remember, and I don't see it here, but we said, except, if you protest it and the settlement value, it can roll, that it could also decrease.
Yeah, correct.
But we had to add, or if it decrease.
And we saw that, like, again,
Okay.
that evidence of further reduction, I think. And again, that's one of the languages that we wanted to make sure that we cleaned up, so to speak. And again, you'll have the draft well in advance before the September meeting.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
This question is for you, Roy, and Mike Cardinals, is have we heard anything else on the legislature doing away with that 20% cap for commercial properties, well, non-residential property?
That was the circuit breaker. That already expired. That was this year is the last year, 24, 25, and 26.
Right.
It was a pilot program.
No, I understand that. Have we heard anything about this continuation of?
Not at this point.
Not at this point, sir.
That would be something that the 27th legislative session would take up. And they haven't gotten to pre-filing bills yet, so there has been no discussion that I know of.
If you hear anything, we all let you know.
Absolutely. We'll let the board know.
And for those of you that may not know, that they implemented they called it a trial period. They did it for 3 years to offer some relief to the business community, to give them a 20% cap for those who were under, the 5.3 million Carlos? 5.2.
Yeah.
5.2, $5.3 million are on the property does not exceed that value, they could get a 20% cap on their increases. But it expires this year.
Yes, sir.
Well, and I think there's two reasons you consider continue the annual appraisal. One is to ensure that we're keeping up the changes in the market. But the other is to ensure that we have current data for the auditing process that occurs in the year
Yes.
after we started.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So I think we want to be, we have the requirement to be accurate, precise on one hand, fair and equitable on the other. So we want to have the most recent data so that we can ensure we fall within those parameters.
Yes, sir.
So who was the one that authored the circuit breaker, do you know?
I don't remember who the representative was.
Carlos, you remember?
The legislation, I don't know who proposed it.
I don't, man. We can get that information for you because I
We'd have to look.
yeah, we
back
got
at-
to look.
It wasn't made on court?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
24 authors, every 3 years, that I know, but I don't know about the certain.
No, we can find out. I'll send that information. That's not a problem.
I know that both the governor and lieutenant governor proposed significant changes to the tax system. The two plans are completely incompatible with one another, so.
No taxes.
Nobody knows. The legislature.
No taxes.
All right.
So we're gonna get the verbiage of the tracking the changes.
Right.
Okay.
As
Right.
well as the final draft of the
That
reappraisal.
specific section.
Okay, just
So
so,
does it know what previous languages and what the updated?
Yes.
languages, so that.
and I'm gonna,
Issues with that, we can ask questions before we go to the board.
okay, so, and we're gonna look for evidence of further reduction. Okay,
All right, do we need anything in the seconds?
No, sir.
All right, then we will go to the reports. Ms. Crystal, you're on.
I have a funds investment report dated June 30th, 2026. We have total deposits of $14,050,331. Year-to-date interest earned is $148,390. We are over collateralized by $4,689,871. Excuse me, page 5. You'll see total revenues collected as of June 30th, 2026 are $22,544,788. You turn to page 8. You'll see we have a fund balance as of June 30th of $8,909,415. And if you turn to the next page, it's our statement of designated cash funds as of June 30th, 2026. And there have been no changes. Do you have any questions?
Questions?
so remind me, we're collateralized, how do you determine why you're over? How is it over collateralized? You just,
We get over because we have the FDIC from the pledge. And then from our issuance, our bonds and our issuance from the bank. That's how much more we're collateralized by.
but you determine that you need X amount of deposits, which is how many, like, weeks you can run.
Red, this is for just protecting our money in the bank.
Okay.
And Ms. Haslund, to the building, the $1 million on the statement of expenditures, that's the designated cash funds. That's where we have the $1 million set aside for the building.
Yeah, we're gonna need more than $1 million. I think that Cushman and Wakefield, did we not pay them? They said we needed about 10 million.
That was one of their projections, yes. Yeah, that was for.
But that's not something we can take from being over collateral.
No, no. And that's why we've taken this approach of being very, very cautious, because again, ultimately, an expenditure of that nature would encompass asking the taxing jurisdictions to, look at funding that. And given the current climate, we wanted to make sure that we do our due diligence as far as making sure before we do anything and trying to stay in this building as long as we can to offset any kind of major costs.
Right, any other questions? Now maybe the appraisal records.
Okay, sir. We are in week 16 of the current protest season. Today, we received right around 184,000 protests. As of last month, just after our board meeting last month, we did certify timely at a significant amount. We certified 96% of the total appraised value. Actually, and almost about a week early, so that was very good work on the behalf of our staff and the appraisal review board. What I find significant in this year is that this is the third year in a row in which we've received about 185,000 protests. We will complete this year's protest season in about 21 weeks. We haven't completed a protest season in 21 weeks since 2019. And back then we only had 106, 107,000 protests. So we've come a long way post-pandemic with efficiencies and technologies and just overall effort in working the protests through in a complete and efficient manner. To date, we have about 20,000 protests left to work through, so that gives us about 4.5 more weeks to go. From that period, we will transition into the 2027 appraisal records. So we look to open those up around the Labor Day weekend and begin our work on the 2027 appraisal records. Maintenance of our 30-day processing window. I just got updated that our deed record filings are within 35 days, so we're catching back up on that. During the protest season, we kind of fall behind on our processing window due to the volume of protests. We had to divert staff to other activities, but we are now catching back up on that. Our exemption applications, on the report, it says 4,800. Due to extra effort this past week, we're down to about 3,000 pending applications. And they're averaging about 40 to 45 days from the application. And those are the ones that are sent in through either email or mail. And so we're catching up on those records as well. I've included the protest activity recap just so you can see the numbers that we've seen over the past 5 years. But again, to reemphasize, we do anticipate completing the season by September 16th in 21 weeks, which is very helpful for our appraisal activities because it recaptures some of our calendars that we can put back into appraisal efforts.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman. Yes, I have a question. No. So because we're constantly asked about percentage, so I know in the past you've always told us it was like 88% of successful protests. Do we have a percentage right now? What is the amount of people that are successful in their protest?
I think what you're talking about is a settlement agreement.
Yes.
Yeah. In full.
Yeah, when they go, obviously the first round, is that the number?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what is the number? We're going
Okay, so I want to preface that with the mixture of protests this year is significantly different than in past years. So to illustrate that, on the protest activity recap, protests, the top graph where it says protest agent versus owners.
Okay, where you at?
Last page.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The last page, got it.
Go ahead, Tom.
So the mixtures of protests this year was 81% agent filed protest versus 19% owner filed protest. So our value agreement percentage right now is hovering around 71–72%. But that's going to be heavily skewed because 80% of that volume is on the agent side and not the owner side. And so I don't necessarily have the owner agreement percentage versus the agent percentage agreement, but I can tell you it was heavily influenced by this distribution of who was holding the protest.
You have a breakdown on residential, because really that's one I'm mostly concerned about. The same thing.
It's the same.
71, 72.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Is
but
that
this- oh, go ahead.
Is that typical for this time of year, about 70%, 71%?
So in the prior years, when the owner protest hovered up to between 50 and 60%, by the end of the protest season, we would see anywhere from an 80–85% settlement rate. But this mix of protest volume and, it's a lower, values were flat to declining. And so when the agents hold more protest volume, that does impact the decisions being made.
It's just good to know, because you get people come up to and say, oh, it doesn't matter what protest, they're not gonna change anything.
It matters,
We're
absolutely.
always able to tell them that 85% success rate, but I won't just tell.
This year's about.
Yeah, well, I want to give a shout out to Anthony, Commercial, Sarah, and Customer Service for helping with constituent issues.
Thank you. I sincerely appreciate you saying that, man, because our staff does all the heavy lifting. I mean, we're here reporting to the board, but it's the work they do each and every day that makes this possible, and your support is invaluable to us because, again, we know how much, I hate to use the word disdain there is for property taxes, but there is. And we know that we're the bearer of bad news, whether, we send out notices or not.
Where are you hearing this, sir?
But we do take it seriously, and that's one of the things that I tell staff. I say, I can fix a lot of things with the code, but I can't fix how you treat somebody. And that they've taken it to heart because, again, they understand that these are genuine concerns that property owners have. I mean, money's tight right now, so the thing that we can do is hear them out and see what we can do to come to a resolution when it comes to these property taxes. Their valuations, because there is a separation. But I do sincerely appreciate you saying that, man.
Yeah,
Acknowledging
one
that.
of them was religious center.
Yes, ma'am.
Confused about losing their.
And any board member, I know
Another one was a 92-year-old that pays taxes.
you're really good about sending your problems to, well, excuse me, your constituents' problems to me. And I'm being very sincere when I say
The
this.
other two,
Any constituent issues that you have, please make them our problems, because that's what we do. But I do thank you, man, because when you bring it to our attention, we want to address it at ASAP. And if they feel comfortable talking to y'all and not us, please, again, I'll talk to anybody. But yes, thank you for saying that.
And for the sake of all the staff here and yourself, and I know that Carlos will agree with what I'm saying. Every day in my office, I get compliments every day. And what they tell me mostly is that they cannot believe at how the demeanor has changed, how the way they're treated has changed since before this new administration. Carlos, am I correct in saying that? Right. We hear it every day, so it's a lot. People see it and they'll understand and they'll realize it, and so if you're doing that, and I know you are, that's a good thing.
I sincerely appreciate you saying that, sir. And like, again, all credit goes to my staff.
The other thing I do want to mention before I forget, before we run out of time here, is now I am part of the forum because you had more ability to talk.
I don't know that you've ever been prescribed in that, but go ahead.
There's been out there. But I do want to say that, I want to, and on behalf of myself and Carlos and Lisa Anderson, I do want to commend yourself, Tom, and Roy, and Sarah. Because, and I know everybody helps, but, and Marquesa will mind her because she's always very busy, but, we really rely on each other. But, you guys are wealth of information, and so when I call, or Carlos calls, and we deal mostly with Sarah, she's been a great help, a tremendous help.
Yes, she is, sir. Thank you. She's amazing.
Yeah, she does. Carlos, you want to comment on that about Sarah?
I think the entire staff, including Sarah, I think they're very easily to draw, they'll drop what they're doing, and I think Sarah's busy a lot, she still takes time to take our calls.
We tried to hire Sarah, but she told them what she was making, so we could. That's fine. Yeah, and that's your entire staff.
Thank you,
I
sir.
point out Sarah, that's one. When the problem gets to me.
Yeah.
That's why I call Sarah usually.
Sarah can tell you when a problem gets to me, she takes care of it for me too. But thank you sincerely, both of y'all, because again, we understand the relationship that we have and how important it is to not give wrong information. So we don't try to answer any tax related questions. We send them to the experts, and vice versa. Any problem that y'all have, you do send them our way. And again, by helping them, that's how we do our part. And I sincerely appreciate the relationship that our office has had, because again, it is very collegial and it's all about helping the public. Thank you, sir.
Well, and I think this is one of those arenas where the public is always quite sure who they're supposed to be going
Right.
to anyway, so having that.
But working together, it diffuse that
Work
confusion.
together, it not only serves our interest in doing things efficiently, but is a benefit to the public.
Yes, sir.
So very grateful for your office as well. I would like
Thank
to
you.
point out and say kudos, because if we go back to this last graph on the last page at the bottom, in 2023, 2/3 of the protests were still in person. And this year, it was just barely over 1/3 of them were. And I think that's a real testament to the hard work and the money that this organization has invested in making sure that the remote protest facilities are equal to, if not better, than what is done inside. And I am not surprised to see this, because the ability to park here this year versus last year is dramatically different and much better. And so I think kudos to you all for continuing to maintain and upgrade those
Thank you.
abilities and capacities as well.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anybody else we want to praise before we call it? All right, I believe, oh no, we still have the Finish with the reports from community engagement. Jennifer.
Jennifer has gone over to the next month.
Okay. So we will postpone that till
She wanted to make sure that we got the order of the elections in. Today's the deadline. So she's over there right now. She just asked me to let you know that the information is there. If you have any questions, you can address them at the next meeting.
And I did have to put it on the website, also putting now the people that are signed up. I don't know, there's been, apparently they have anything on the website, they weren't answering questions for 4 days. What I'm understanding, whether that's true or not, I don't want to be involved in the election. But that's the understanding I had, it was 4 days and all this.
So they and the board work together. I actually looked at the website last time and it's on both sides.
They put a link up there that goes straight to our page for the frequently asked questions, the forms that are needed, the acknowledgement of duties on our office, and then the actual application to file to be in the ballot.
So they're actively working to try and remediate it.
Oh, so our link on the elections page wasn't there.
It is now,
It is now, you're right.
And when did that occur?
at some point this week.
It was last week. It was last week.
I haven't seen it, it's what I heard.
Yeah, it was last week. I believe it was on that Thursday when they came back from the seminar or the conference. She called me.
That was this Thursday.
That was okay, no. So then it was last week. She called me last week to let me know that there was an issue that they had addressed
You're right.
and that they did put that on the website. And when I went on there, I clicked on that and it took you to our website with the frequently asked questions.
this
But
is
again,
Monday.
more importantly, it had the deadline that it had to have the form.
So what's gonna happen is, my understanding, we only have, I think you two have signed up and we don't have anybody else. What happens if there's a vacancy on the third one?
I guess we go back to what we did.
So that was what the last point I was gonna make before we close the
I'm
meeting
sorry.
is that I believe we need to really fire up the ad hoc committee on vacancies and replacements so that we can finalize a procedure that will be a board policy of how we'll proceed in the future. I still think I need to check with the Secretary of State's office in case there's something in the code that might determine what that is. I don't believe there is anything there.
I think some counties did appoint the first time around. I think El Paso was one where there was enough, because it's only for 75 counties with 75,000 or
Right.
more. But I had heard, I think El Paso was one.
I don't know
Where they had
remember
to-
which one, but I did hear the
They
same
didn't get
thing.
enough for the
So-
receipts, and then they kind of did what our process
Oh,
is.
I think you have to say prom signing up and all that, right?
Right.
Everybody's on the prom.
Given that when Mr. Bruce passed this board made it clear that they wanted public participation in that process. So that's why I think the ad hoc committee needs to come up with a standing board policy that whether it's by failure to have anybody file for the election or someone passes in office, we have a set procedure of what we will do with it. I think that will ensure that there's fairness and equity in what we do. And also ensure that we feel like we met our obligations to have a fair and equitable
Well,
process.
if y'all paid us, we can plenty of people.
Okay.
Just putting it out there.
And then
On the
Mr. White or Mr. George, we've already talked to, you all have any additional reports or information for us?
I sure do, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I wanted to share with you, I know that there are quite a few pages in there. Of them, there is about 415 accounts that I dealt with. Not counting the walk-ins or the walk-bys. A lot of them are customers that are not as illiterate as a lot of people dealing with computers. So when they come in and they sit down, they would say, well, I tried to download this into evidence and I don't know how. So when they come, they have their cell phone and I have my monitor. And I said, okay, we're gonna do this together. So we sit down and we talk it step by step. And I tell them, okay, write down this step. And by the time we finish, they have already inputted their evidence. So that just by saying, okay, there are walk-bys, it doesn't mean that a walk by is just to say hello and hi there. You have to pay attention to what their needs are. And if you pay attention to what their needs are and you're able to handle that, then that's a good thing. And that's more than what the number 415 accounts are. A lot of those you'll look in there and you'll see that it says, okay, a customer has this. And then when you read my response, it'll say, okay, I filled out a form and I gave it to the ARB chair for his decision making. It's more to it than just, that's what I put on there. But keep in mind, it's more to it than just filling out a form and giving it to him so that he can make his decision. Are there any questions for me? I know that long day. Are there any questions for me?
So that raises the question, do we have anything on our website that is essentially a tutorial that if you want to protest, so here's where you can find the information and here's the mechanisms you should use?
We have several tutorial videos that we have, and as a matter of fact, we're in the process of possibly updating them. But yes, sir, we do. And again, our Zendesk has been, has a wealth of knowledge. We put articles on there where our staff has actually basically taken frequently asked questions and they've answered those and put them on the web. So yes, we do have tutorial videos, we have articles, we have as much information out there to try to help people make sure they understand what resources are available to them.
Okay. And sir, even though they're out on the web, we still have those that don't pay attention to what's on the web.
Okay.
And if they don't pay attention to what's on the web, then they come to you. That's where you come in and you say, okay, this is how it works according to what's on the web.
Yeah, so I think one thing that COVID taught us, and that probably makes up a lot of it, but one thing COVID taught us is that there's a much larger proportion of households in this county that don't have.
That do not.
Have the equipment or the access. And that's an issue too, so. Okay, that's good to know.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
If our ARB chair is here, I'd like to hear from him.
Mr. George.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what the gentleman said.
Quick update on what's going on.
Real quick. Trying to think of what hasn't been said for me already. Yeah, we have about 5 weeks left. And we'll finish up. Here in 2 weeks, we'll be doing the late protest for about approximately 1 to 2 days. And then the internal protests. Then we'll move on to agents for the remainder of September. All 16 panels will be doing agents for that time period. Beyond that, one of the things I do want to, there's a report, I believe it's in your books. Beyond what's in the report, I want to point out that this is probably the first season in which we've had all 16 panels working every single day for the entirety of the season for at least 6, maybe 7 years that I know of. The additional personnel that you've provided allowed us to hire for the ARB, have us access to cover down when people are sick. We've been able to be a little bit more flexible on what we can do. For example, the individual whose son passed away, we've given her to the end of the month to be able to take care of his affairs. And
That was a horrible.
Yes.
The Hoyos, her son, came home and found him. It was only 50 something, terrible.
And then this weekend, the one thing I was going to mention, this weekend we had a death of one of our ARB members.
Oh, no.
She passed away unexpectedly Friday evening. So,
Who's that?
I'm not sure. Is it okay? I mean, I'm not sure with the recording if that information should go out, family reasons.
Yeah.
I'll share that with you after the meeting, sir.
Yeah.
That's okay.
In respect to privacy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry, sir.
But that, it was a shock to the whole panel. Her daughter called me around 9 o'clock this morning. But, beyond that, everything seems to be going smooth. It's gonna be a short season, and no offense, I kind of like it.
Well, thank you for making that accommodation.
Anytime. Family's always first, so. Anything else, please, sir?
Just wanted to hear.
Just to put some credit where it's due, you were the one that came forward with the proposal to have handful of extra folks on hand available so that we could accommodate without having to reschedule. And so, we appreciate that you have the foresight to do that.
And I had never really spoken to him until last meeting. I was very impressed with this young man here.
I'd like to give Mr. George and his, the ARB credit also, because again, like to Tom's, report earlier, we were able to stop, to certify at 96% this year, which was the largest we've ever had in the last 3-4 years. And it does take concerted effort. We try to settle as much as we can informally, but again, like he just said, he deals with the agents, and a lot of the times the agents are the ones that pursue it to the ARB. So he has had his summer pretty busy. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George.
All right, I believe that's the end of the agenda. So the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Buxton,
Second.
second by Ms. Heisel, all in favor?
Aye.
Yard adjourned at 2:50.